There's more to this compound than meets the eye. A dark secret is hidden underneath the forest floor. A maximum security underground bunker where scientists created the most dangerous hybrid ever. Please scan your fingerprint on the thumbs up icon to gain access to the top secret construction logs.
Welcome to a new facility build in Jurassic World Evolution 2. I love doing builds like these, and I've done many unmodded facilities, but this is my first one with mods for the Ultimasaurus. I'm starting the build with the walls of the bunker. As always, I made a little sketch beforehand, so I roughly knew what I was working towards. This build came with a big challenge I wasn't prepared for though, but we'll get there later. The habitat for the Ultimasaurus is even deeper underground than the rest of the bunker, so I dug down to place lower wall pieces. This will be what I call the pit. By having the Ultimasaurus habitat lower into the ground, there's no risk of the hybrid escaping through a broken fence. It is contained by the concrete walls. Unfortunately, even the improved terrain tools don't make for a perfect 90-degree angle on a cliff face, so to cover the distance between where the ground ends and where the concrete wall begins, I had to use more concrete pieces to build an extension to the floor. This isn't really an issue. The only downside is that we can't walk over this in first-person view, but we will be doing a full tour and cinematic showcase at the end. Because I didn't want the pit too deep, I raised the terrain up a bit and then checked with the Ultimasaurus how deep it needs to be to prevent any chance of escape. One corner is getting blocked off. The lower level will have a hatchery, and above it there will be a medical bay. I'm adding a door to create the illusion that we can go there, but in reality it will be inaccessible due to how it had to be built. I'm splitting the accessible part of the bunker into two sections. One half will be the science lab with the cryo chambers, and the other half is research for the live specimen. The bunker connects to the above ground compound with a long corridor that builds up tension as you head inside. For the cryo chambers, I considered using these glass pieces, but decided against it. They weren't nearly big enough, and pasting too many together would take away from the minimalist, utilitarian look I was going for. So instead, I'm only using the water texture and pretending it is encased in glass. These water textures are obviously much too large, but I'm using the fact that the build is underground to my advantage. The expanse that we don't use will be covered by terrain. That way we can just use a corner. I'm testing to see if the Ultimasaurus statue fits inside that corner. These statues will be the frozen hybrids I'll add later. To line the edge of the platform that overlooks the habitat, I'm using these fence pieces. Unfortunately, they are one of those pieces that glitches and disappears if the camera gets too close. These steel struts provide extra strength to the walls of the bunker and also add a little more visual interest. I'm adding a bit of roof as a test. You will see soon that my idea on how to do the roof didn't work at all. After taking off my test roof, I laid down the path where I wanted it. Not getting too fancy with it, but mixing two colors to make it a little bit more interesting. With the roof bit back in place, it's time for a little test, like a proof of concept, and I really liked how this was looking, but unfortunately I had a major setback ahead of me. I completed the roof with more concrete slabs, and then it was time to use the trick I had envisioned, which I thought would help me make quick work of covering the entire roof by raising the terrain, burying the entire bunker. This allowed me to place large amounts of rocks and trees normally without the need for any mods. All of these rocks and trees would stay in place when I dig back down once I'd be done. I'd already tested this, so I was quite confident this would work out and spent a fair bit of time covering the roof. This gives you a sneak peek of what it will look like from an aerial perspective in the end, but unfortunately I would have to redo all of this later. After covering my bunker and digging down underneath the rocks and trees, I discovered that it was impossible to get the camera in there and continue working. I figured it would be difficult and annoying for sure to get the camera inside the bunker and work underground, but I didn't anticipate it would be impossible and that I would just keep getting kicked out. So I returned to a previous save file that only had the concrete slabs for a roof. I moved those over and decided to just build the bunker without a roof and accept my fate that I would have to move the rocks and trees into place at the end using Kai's toolbox. So let's just continue building. As said, the hatchery would substitute as a feeder for the Ultimasaurus. And initially I had a viewing gallery here, but as I was placing other buildings, I discovered that I didn't have room for a paleomedical building, which I did want. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I need this. So I put that on a pretend second level above the hatchery. The cranes are in place to lift stuff or animals in and out of the pit, and this gave me the idea to replace the viewing gallery with an elevated gate flanked by cranes that would lift the Ultimasaurus out of the pit and onto the paleomedical level. A big part of this build was adding lights, because those are so important for creating a spooky atmosphere. Of course, the cryo chambers are inspired by Jurassic World Rebirth, so similarly to what we saw in the trailer, I colored the lights of the cryo chambers orange, and then added many more lights all around. The lagoon lights that point straight up were great for this, as well as the tall floodlights. The corridor leading into the bunker I lined with the regular spotlights, angled so that only the light itself pokes out of the concrete wall. This lighting makes the long corridor look really intimidating. Then it was a case of adding more details, like fleshing out the cryo chambers. Even though I didn't have the right glass pieces to use, I didn't want to leave them as just a corner of the water texture, so I did my best to give it a bit of a frame, and I ended up making them bigger so the Ultimasaurus would fit well in angled positions that make them look like they are suspended in the cryo chambers. With the interior of the bunker done, I bring the ground up all the way around. I move the concrete roof back into position, and I add a shaft to the skylight, as we'll be creating a lot more depth with the rocks on top, and I don't want a visible gap between the rocks and the concrete roof. Then the absolutely tedious task of covering the roof, starting with rocks. To make it easier on myself, I just used the Batcave decoration, as it has a lot more surface area than a regular rock. Watching a show on my second monitor helped keep me sane as I placed the rocks and then added trees on top of those, which was even more work. Honestly, it wasn't actually that bad, not nearly as bad as I thought at least. I think I made rather quick work of it, and I'm really happy with the end result. While working on the entry to the bunker, with the road gently sloping down to the underground level, I lost some footage, but you're not missing out on anything groundbreaking. The bunker was completed, but then I still had to build the above ground compound. I kept this pretty simple with only a couple of buildings and decorations. I didn't want it to be anything grand because it's supposed to be a bit underwhelming to avoid drawing too much attention. Using the Malta wall pieces as a curb to line the road cutting through the compound is one of my favorite things here. The final part of the build before we do the tour and showcase is the access to the compound, which required a tunnel entrance in a far corner of the map using those same handy concrete slabs. I've built a similar fake tunnel entrance without mods using my beloved monorail roof technique. Experience with unmodded builds does help from time to time, and mods just make it easier to bring some ideas to life. Now, let's start the tour. Alright, we've made it through the first security checkpoint. Congratulations, you did not get tasered. Let me take you to the compound. I apologize for my jittery driving. I don't have a driver's license, but somehow my driving is not the most dangerous experience of this tour that you are about to go on, as we go inspect the bunker, our brand new research facility, maximum security. We've arrived at the exterior of the compound. You see the guards on top of the tower there. And we're gonna go through the airlock into the upper compound, the above ground area. Say hello. Alright, here we are. This is where our cargo arrives, our crew arrives. You know, we have to replace some crew at, generally a pretty frequent pace. And here we are. We're gonna leave the car here, and we'll continue on foot. This guy has seen some shit. And you're about to see some shit as well. I've been informed you've signed all the necessary NDAs and waivers, so you're good to go down below. But first, I want to show you the guard tower that overlooks the entrance to the bunker. We have 2 guards stationed up there 24/7. They literally never come down. And we also have 2 vehicles right there to chase down and run over any trespassers that manage to make it this far. And if we look over the edge, we can just about see the facade of the bunker, which is where we're gonna go. We're heading down this winding path, which takes us to the below ground level, and I hope you have all your paperwork in order for the next security checkpoints, because worse things than tasering are gonna happen if you don't. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, which gives you the highest level of security clearance and grants you access to the bunker. Now we are ready to head inside, and we will always be under the watchful eyes of the security cameras and the guards stationed throughout the facility. So, don't pick your nose or pick a wedgie out of your ass because someone's gonna see and report about it. Alright, let's see if you're about to walk through the gate of the bunker or the pearly gates of heaven as the snipers take you out. Alright, phew! Looks like I won't be mopping the concrete today. Nice! Alright, let's head in and don't start feeling claustrophobic on me now as the gate closes behind us. And let's continue through the corridor. This long corridor gives our security team time to respond in case someone does make it past that first gate. And we have yet another security checkpoint coming right up. So yeah, we spared no expense here. We really want to make sure that not just nobody unauthorized gets in, but also, very important, that nothing gets out. Say hello to Greg, David, and John. I made those names up. I don't know their names. I'm above them, honestly. But here, we've finally cleared the second gate, and we're heading into the science lab. And here you can see our 2 failed Ultimasaurus specimens. We keep them on ice, for science or something. Of course, the frozen hybrids aren't the reason why all this security is necessary, although they are very valuable. It's the live hybrid that all this fuss is about. So I want to show you that one. It's more interesting. So let's leave the research lab half behind and head into the other half of the facility where they study the behavior of the live specimen to determine its suitable and potentially profitable applications. Although, you don't need to be a scientist to observe there's something very wrong with this creature. Let's hope all these security measures will stand the test of time, because if this Ultimasaurus escapes or is stolen, no place will ever be safe. Until then, this job comes with dental and we have casual Fridays, so it's not too bad. As we step towards the ledge of the pit, be mindful of the disappearing guardrails. A bit of an odd safety feature. But there she is, the Ultimasaurus, just walking in circles round and round under the skylight, probably so she can look up at the blue sky and daydream about world domination. Don't we all?